What's good, everyone? Today we're finally at the Alien vs Predator ranking video. I finished my review series. It's 2 weeks now. Seem to have lost track of time making these videos, but we're finally here at the end. So let's get right into it. Worst to best, starting at number 14, Alien vs Predator Requiem. And this is by far the worst movie on this list. One of the just worst movies just in general. It's bad. And it's ugly. You can't see anything going on in this movie. It's just so dark all the time. And it's like you can't see any of like the alien action going down at all. And even if you could, I don't think it's that good in this, just from what I could see. And when you get to like the daytime, and it's still ugly, and all the colors are like oversaturated, and the shadows are really dark. It just looks weird. Just from a writing standpoint, it's not interesting, and the characters are just terrible. It's like there's so many of them. It's kind of like a Roland Emmerich movie, except they're not fleshed out at all, and you forget who's who from scene to scene, and just none of it works. Like the Pred Alien hybrid, like it's a cool idea, but it was not done well. It's in a crap movie, and it does not make it worth watching. When I went into this movie, I thought, okay, it's gonna be bad, but it could be fun bad. It'll be worth it to see the hybrid alien. It was not. It was not cool at all. And this movie is just on a level of just incompetently bad that it just feels like it's beneath the rest of the series, like on both sides. It's like Predator and Alien both have their, lesser movies, ones that aren't so good, but they have like redeeming qualities or some effort put into them. And this just feels like it could be any movie on Tubi, and it just feels like an insult to this franchise, and so easily the worst one.
Because now I know who ordered the sausage lovers.
Alright, coming in at number 13, Alien Covenant, and this is also a really bad movie. Not quite on the same level as Alien vs Predator Requiem, though I think I gave them the same score. It's, I want to say competently made, but it oftentimes to me did not feel like it. I just do not get why anyone likes this movie. It's probably the most boring movie on this list. Like, the action scenes feel like they could be like a break from the monotony of just like the stupid, boring lore, the dumb characters. But even that isn't entertaining at all. It just feels rushed, like there's no stakes. Like, it doesn't build any tension, so none of the action scenes are interesting either. It's just a really boring movie, and it feels like it exists to tell another movie's story, where the most interesting parts are where you're learning about what happened in between this and Prometheus, and just like I would have rather seen that movie. It's like that's what you set up at the end of Prometheus, and they didn't deliver it, and it feels like a pointless movie that was boring, and the characters were so dumb, almost to the point of comedy, but not quite. So it just made me aggravated the whole time, just seeing these characters do dumbest things ever. I mean, Michael Fassbender, of course, he's great as David and Walter. Those scenes they had together were pretty good, but it couldn't save this movie. It was really bad. I did not like this one at all.
Stay the fuck away!
Alright, number 12 is going to be Alien 3, and just to be clear, there's a big gap between Covenant and 3, but it's a very depressing movie, where it's an entirely watchable movie with good performances, good characters. You get expands the story and the lore of the Alien series. And you get to see aliens killing people, and that's always fun, right? Not in this one, because even though some of the kills are pretty cool, it's like they're only killing the people who you don't want to die. You're on this planet that has like one little prison building that you're stuck in. And everyone here is like a horrible prisoner rapist, and like none of them die. It's like they're right there for the alien to go kill these prisoners, and it'll be fun, and you don't care about them. But no, the aliens only kill people who are supposed to be heroes, and by the end of it, only the bad guys are left. And it's just a very unsatisfying, depressing movie that it's just very disappointing. Like, it's watchable, like I said, there's some good parts, but it's just really unsatisfying. And it just leaves sort of a bad taste in your mouth when you get to end it. Well, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth 5 minutes in. So, yeah, not one of the better ones, but it's okay. Alright, coming in at number 11 is going to be Predator 2, and this it's a fun movie. It's a forgettable fun movie where I watched this movie a couple months ago for my review, and I kind of forgot almost everything that happened in it except for like the cool scene where like the mafia boss like gets his head cut off in the alleyway. That was a pretty cool scene. But otherwise, I had to like look at my notes to remember anything that happened in this movie. And you know, the action's all good enough, fun enough. The characters are all fun when they're not being jerks. And I don't know, I didn't like a lot of the characters at first, and then they grow on you and then they die. So it was okay. You know, it's always cool to see the Predator killing dudes, and the action scenes are good. Seeing him in the big city is a cool idea to see Predator in the city, and it delivers on that oftentimes, but it really could have been a lot better. And, you know, it was alright. It was forgettable fun. Number 10, we got The Predator from 2018, and, you know, I gave this movie a positive review. It's low on this list, and for a reason. But this is where I sort of start to go more positive on movies, and this movie's just a lot of dumb fun. I enjoyed it. I get why everyone hates it, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's Predator shoved through the blockbuster template, but it worked for me. I mean, you know, we're cracking jokes once a minute, but I thought they were funny, and there's these huge CGI action scenes, but I think a lot of them were good, and on the smaller scale side of the action scenes, I think it has some of the better ones in the series. Like when the Predator's in the lab and he breaks out and starts tearing dudes apart. That was awesome. I mean, when you get to the end of it, the third act, like, it goes crazy. And it goes really stupid. Where you get like these big CGI Predators and you can choose to either hate it or have fun with it. I mostly had fun with it. And then, you know, it goes on this whole, like, explanation of everything going on. It's just, like, boggling how they came up with something so dumb to the point where it's, like, it's not dumb fun with that part of the story. I won't spoil it, but it's just, like, that's bad, borderline distasteful. But for the most part, I had fun with this movie.
So here I am, stuck in Group 2. Sequel to Group 1, only stupider.
Coming in at number 9 is going to be Prometheus. And this movie is technically, like, marvelous. Like, it's a beautiful movie. It got some beautiful locations. It's shot really well. It has a great score. It has a lot of really good ideas and themes in it that, you know, are really interesting to explore. But when you stop to think about it, like, nothing in this movie really works. Like, it doesn't work as an Alien prequel. Like, it almost does, and then it breaks off and none of it lines up at all. It doesn't work on its own terms, where if you stop to think about any of the stuff that's being explored, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't, like, it sets up all these new questions at the end of the movie for the sequel without answering any of its own questions, and none of those questions are explored at all in Covenant. So it's just a very really unsatisfying movie by the end of it, but it was still very interesting, and I value the experience. And this is a movie that probably got me to think more than any other movie, and I had a lot of notes taken on this one, and it gave me, I think, my best review that I've done, and I do value that. I think it's a decent movie. It's watchable, but it just doesn't really work on many levels by the time you're at the end of it. Number 8, Alien vs. Predator. Now, if Predator from 2018 went to such insane places with the lore, it made everybody hate it, Alien vs. Predator goes to such outrageous places with it that it makes it just fun and memorable. Where the idea that there are these ancient pyramids that multiple different civilizations that never met in history built together for the sole purpose of an alien fighting a predator, it's just so crazy that it works. And I just find this movie to be a lot of fun. Now, it does have a slow start where first 40 minutes they're like setting up these explorers, and then they're in the Arctic, and then they're exploring this pyramid, and then it finally gets to the action. But once you get there, it's a lot of fun. It's just a big WWE match where the Predator's picking up the aliens and swinging them around, and they're cutting each other's heads off and stuff. And that was all fun. Now, you know, none of the story has any substance to it at all. None of the characters are all that good except for Lance Henriksen, just because he's great in everything. Yeah, it's not a great movie, but it's a pretty fun movie. I really like this one still.
Turn your back on me.
Alright, coming in at number 7, and some of you will hate me for this, the original Predator. Now, I have a great amount of respect for the director John McTiernan and how he was able to bring us a new iconic movie monster that isn't just out to kill everyone, but has his own code of honor and won't hurt people who are unarmed. It just makes for a more interesting monster, and how it's sort of his own character, and how Stan Winston was able to bring it to life with his incredible costume and creature effects. The characters are mostly well written, where they have a sort of experience to them, where they're trained hunters, and while they are just these big bodybuilder killing machines, there's a little bit more to them than that. And it all just comes together to make a really interesting genre blending action sci-fi horror movie that is just a little bit better than the rest. Now, I don't find this movie to be as incredible as a lot of other people do. I think most of the characters are just kind of the same. Like I said before, they do have a little bit more depth than just being soldiers, but they're all sort of like the same character. And it can be a bit slow just walking through the jungle, and there are moments where they're experimenting with how the predator's hunting them, but it can just feel like wasting time. And I just feel like there are other movies in the Predator series that do what this movie did, but a lot better. Speaking of, number 6 is going to be Predators. Now, this movie has been criticized for just being more of the same, where in a series where the main appeal is the Predator at different locations, at different points in time, hunting different sorts of warriors, we're going back to the jungle with a bunch of soldiers 20 years later, not a huge time gap. It just feels like more of the same. And that's a fair criticism. Counterpoint, I don't care. I think this movie does everything that Predator did, but way better. I think there are more characters that are more fleshed out, they're more interesting, more fun. The great cast, I always love Adrian Brody. You got Lawrence Fishburne in there for a little bit. He's a lot of fun. Topher Grace was really good in this one. I think the action scenes and individual fights were all really well done. They're all great action scenes. There are more predators and all different from one another with their own hunting styles and characteristics. It all just comes together to make a more fun, better movie that I think is just a good bit better than Predator. Number 5, we got Alien Romulus. Now, this is probably the movie that would benefit most from a rewatch. I'm not 100% certain on my feelings on this one. I have a lot of very mixed feelings on it. As it is, just from seeing it one watch, I did really like it. I mostly did really like the relationship between the two main characters and the exploration of synthetics that's here. All the other characters mostly just kind of felt like they were there to die. They weren't really interesting. Some of them were annoying. But whatever. This movie felt like a big remix of the entire Alien series, where you get the isolation horror from Alien, the action scenes from Aliens, the clones and stuff from hybrids from Resurrection, the black goo from Prometheus. And it all did the same stuff in a sort of new way really well, but not in such a new way that kind of felt like it was worth it. Where it just can't escape that feeling of derivativeness, where we get one of the best action scenes in the series, one of the scariest moments in the series. There's some really good stuff in there, but it just feels like we've all done it before, and that the series is just sort of played out, and that is there really any worth in making an Alien sequel when the first two were so great, and all we can really do now is the same stuff again. Alright, coming at number 4, and even more of you are going to hate me for this one, the original Alien. And this is still high up on the list. This is a great movie. It's a classic for a reason, but you're still going to be mad it isn't at number 1 or 2, but whatever. It's fine. And the best part about this movie is its atmosphere, where the Nostromo is just constructed in such a great way, and it's directed so well that it just constantly feels like you're vulnerable. And there's just this eerie vibe about the spaceship. Everything's dark, and you always feel like you're being hunted by the alien. And once you get to a certain point in it, you feel like even if it's nowhere near you, it could be inside you. That is easily the best part of this movie. It works really well. But part of what they did to construct that feeling is it has a slow pace. And that definitely lost me a couple times where I could start just feeling bored. And they were leading me on, and then a cat jumps out 5 times, and I really hate that so much about this movie, is that I just hate that cat so bad. But of course, again, classic, you get Ripley out of it, not as good as Ripley as in Aliens, The characters in this are all really well done, but they don't really have a chance to stand on their own, and they don't really super feel like they could. Even when you get Ripley at the end, like I said, not as interesting as a character as she could be as you see in Aliens. Again, really love it, just not as much as a lot of you guys. Alright, now time for probably my hottest take of this list. Number 3, Alien Resurrection. I love this movie. I don't get the hate for it. I get why people have it below Alien and Aliens, of course. But it's just a really good movie. This is my pick for best practical effects ever that I've seen. I mean, and that's something that I value so much in movies, is just seeing crazy practical effects and sets. Just like, what can you make out of like plastic and clay and stuff that you can make me believe is real, that's so far out of this world. And stuff like the newborn just like looks so cool, and the way it moves around and emotes, and all just the incredible sets. It just blew me away. It's an incredible looking movie, and it's just the funnest Alien movie, and I think that's a big credit to Joss Whedon writing it and just having a really fun cast with Ron Perlman and Winona Ryder. Just everyone in this does a great job. I mean, you get Tuco from Breaking Bad in there for a little bit, which is pretty neat. And it can be very cheesy, but it's worth it, because without this movie, we never would have gotten Ripley Ballin. I mean, Ripley Ballin is the best thing ever, right, guys? I love it. Now, due to it being sort of tonally goofy, it does have some problems where the moments that are meant to be more impactful don't really work as well. Like Ripley is like a clone and she's acting weird. It doesn't really feel like the same character. We're on a spaceship that's supposed to crash in 3 hours, and there's absolutely no tension whatsoever. Like, I forget about that happening multiple times when I watched it. But really, I just don't care about those things as much, because it's such a fun movie that just has an incredible display of effects that I just love it so much. It was so good. Alright, coming in at number 2 is going to be Prey, and this is my pick for the best movie in the Predator series, and I don't even think that it's all that close. Main reason for that is it's just focused on one main character. It's very small scale. Back with the Comanche tribe, I believe, back in like, was it early 1800s, late 1700s, whatever it was. Just focusing on this underdog story of Naru is just really compelling, where she wants to be a hunter and nobody in her tribe thinks she can do it. And she proves that she can by beating the greatest hunter in the galaxy. And it's just this really tight script of setup and payoff, where there's all these little details throughout the movie that maybe you don't even realize are supposed to be set up. And then you get to that final battle at the end, and just all this constant payoff, just like, oh, she's using that and that and that. And it's just a really satisfying movie to watch. And I think that, throughout there's some really great action scenes. I think it's one of the better action movies of the decade. It's just a really fun movie with a great character work. And it's short, doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just short, sweet, satisfying, great movie. And then finally coming in at number 1 is going to be Aliens. This is just one of the greatest movies of all time. Like, it's so good. Where it's a lot like Prey in the way that it's focused on these two characters of Ripley and Newt, where she can be sort of this caring mother figure to Newt and then outperform the Marines in the next scene and it not feel out of place at all, where she's just this really great, well-rounded character, perfectly played by Sigourney Weaver.
Say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Where Prey is a much smaller scale film, this manages to have the more emotional, intimate character moments while also having this huge action movie scale where this huge like power plant or whatever it is, I don't remember, on this alien planet where there's just swarms of aliens constantly coming at them, where it's like this sort of horror action movie where even the action has like some smarts to it, where if you like blow up a grenade, shoot the wrong spot, the whole place blows up. And there's just all these different layers to it that just come together really well. And it looks perfect, where just this huge alien building, this alien planet, all these different creature effects just brought to life perfectly. And I don't even understand how it was possible back in like the 80s. And, you know, we're getting movies with super advanced computer effects that just look like garbage. And it's shameful that they're making movies that look the way they do today when they had Aliens 30 something years ago. It's insane. But yeah, you already know why Aliens is a classic. I don't need to say any more about it. It's a great movie. So that's why it comes in at number 1. And now we're at the end of the list, end of the review series. And it was a lot of fun to do. It didn't entirely go according to plan, but it was a lot of fun. Really, definitely worth it. A lot of these were first time watches. Glad I finally got around to seeing these movies. So yeah, really enjoyed going through this. Hope you guys did too. Thanks for watching.